Hi everyone, welcome, I'm MisterBo, and today we're going to be talking about fixes, patches, updates, and how we need more of them, and a little bit more communication from Beenox. Before we get into that though, a little bit of housekeeping. Again, I'm still running the giveaway. If you want a chance to enter to win the Crash Pop Funko, link in the description below. Also, I've set up a brand new Discord server to talk about Nitro-Fueled and a bunch of other games if you're interested. There's also an LFG to find people on your platform of choice. So if you want to go ahead and join that, we're sitting at roughly just over 50 people and I only started it last week. Then you can click again the link in the description to take yourself over there. And of course, if you do enjoy this video, click the like button. If you're new around here, feel free to subscribe for more gaming content and coverage. And if you do, tap that bell icon to be notified when my future videos go live. So after the Nitro Tour Grand Prix had come out, and just before the Back in Time Grand Prix had come out, I did two videos. One was things I'd like to see changed with online, and then one was things I'd like to see changed with Grand Prix going forward, just minor things that I felt would improve the experience altogether. However, this one is more focused about the game as a whole. Now granted, most of these problems only really do affect online, but some of them, like invisible walls and things, affect races no matter where you're playing them. Now we've had one major update in this game. We had it when the Nitro Tour Grand Prix came out. There were a lot of great changes in there. Player icons for skins and stuff were now shown actually in races. Velo mask was added in. There were a bunch of quality of life improvements. And then since then they fixed the exploits on Thunderstruck, Papu's Pyramid. I'm not entirely sure if they fixed the exploits on Dingo Canyon and Tiger Temple, and I know we've currently got one in game on Engines Labs, so hopefully if they haven't already been fixed, they get fixed soon. And we've also had some updates, at least on the Xbox side, to fix the stability issues that we were having when racing online. There was a lot of frame rate drops and the game would crash occasionally. That seems to be fixed. For the most part, I still do get frame rate drops very occasionally in a race, but the crashing on Xbox at least has stopped for me. So we have got a few updates since the Nitro Tour Grand Prix, but we didn't really get any big changes with Back in Time, and I'm hoping we get some big changes with Spyro and Friends. Now I had thought about holding off this video until that Grand Prix had come out to see if there were going to be any changes, and then if there weren't, I'd put this video up, but I thought it was better to put it up now before the fact so I can voice my opinions, and hopefully maybe someone listens and we start to get a little bit more communication from Beenox and a few more updates and things as we go. So let's step it back a little bit. Now again, these are all my opinions. Some of you might agree, some of you might disagree, and that's completely fine. I love to discuss this stuff with you guys in the comments below. Now as I mentioned, most of this stuff really only affects online play, but a large majority of the people play online. So I think the biggest problem in the game right now is the matchmaking. It's pretty dire at best. Being able to get into a game can take some time usually. Once you're in a game, sometimes you'll just hang around on the starting line for what seems like forever, and then maybe everyone will stay in, and sometimes maybe everyone will just leave, and then you're racing against bots, or the game will just say not enough players to start the race and boot you back to the lobby. And I'm assuming this is all because it's player-to-player connection, meaning whoever the host is, if their internet's slightly bad or if they disconnect, then you're probably going to have a hard time actually getting into that race. And I know a lot of people want some form of dedicated servers. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening in the size of this game. It's probably going to stay player-to-player, but I'm sure there are some back-end things they can do to hopefully smooth out the experience. Along with that, something that people have been asking for since, well, the game came out, and that is some skill-based matchmaking. Now, last season, I stayed up in the top 500s for the Grand Prix in the champion leaderboard, managed to get myself the champion car, as did a lot of other people, but I was playing against some pretty standard players. It allowed me to get a lot of wins, and now with the Back in Time Grand Prix, I haven't really played that much, to be honest. I'm sitting around 2000 in the champion leaderboard, and just yesterday I was paired up with the person who is number 1 in the world on Xbox on the champion leaderboard multiple times. Now, in some races, yes, I was able to keep up with them, but in other races, well, it was kind of just a whitewash. They'd get blue flames, zoom ahead, and then it was kind of just a race for second, really. First place was out of the question. And this kind of goes back to what I mentioned in my video about things I'd like to see added to online. One of them, some sort of skill-based matchmaking to make sure I map people at my similar skill level, or if you can't really determine that, people who are at my similar champion level. That way, if I'm at the top of the champion leaderboards, then yeah, I'm playing against people who are also at the top. But if I'm maybe not at the top of the leaderboards, then I'm playing people around my similar skill level as well. Now I think that is the main sort of problem with online play at the moment. The other thing obviously is it's getting a little bit stale with only single races. Again, I mentioned this in my previous video, but online cups, the thing that I think a lot of people have been asking for, and that is a no items race. And then in my personal opinion, I'd like to see a no blue flames race. I think taking out blue flames from an online race would completely change the balance of the game and make it a little bit fair for everyone, meaning whoever gets in first gets blue flames hasn't pretty much automatically won the race. It still gives people in the back of the grid a chance to win. And before one of you in the comments says get good, this isn't a matter of getting good. I consider myself pretty good at the game. It's a matter of making the game fun and balanced and something that kind of works in 2019 and not a game that still feels like it's from 1999. Of course, the other problem with online racing, and again some of it's due to connection issues, is invisible walls coming off of a turbo pad ramp and just slamming straight into nothing, losing all your momentum, sometimes falling off the map, losing a position. That stuff needs to be fixed. Along with that, also the network issues of where an item is on the track, or when an item hits you but it technically was nowhere near you. I've had it multiple times where I've driven past a beaker that I was nowhere near, but then a few seconds later it then hits me. Sometimes a bowling bomb has literally gone straight through my character and hasn't affected me in the slightest. Sometimes there's no items on the track at all, I'm miles ahead of everyone else, and then suddenly I go into an invisible potion. Stuff like that really needs to be fixed because it just makes the game not fun when you're playing online. Now I know some of these things do take time obviously to be fixed, but we don't even know if Beenox are fixing them. We haven't really had much communication from them. We've had the Activision blog, which sometimes gives us a little bit of an update. Obviously we know we're getting Nina, Embryo and Komodo Mo in the Grand Prix after Spyro, but that's kind of all we know is coming in the future. We don't have any sort of community manager or person at Beenox or Activision who sort of directly talks to us, and I guess because the game isn't really as big as other games you have community managers for, so it kind of makes sense. But maybe just every 2 weeks we get a post from Beenox about the current state of the game, what they currently see are the problems, what they're currently working on, and then maybe give us a few teasers about what is coming up in the next Grand Prix. Now I also know probably most of the team who worked on Nitro-Fueled aren't working on Nitro-Fueled anymore. My assumption is most of the team has been moved over onto Call of Duty Modern Warfare because Beenox are doing the PC release of that, and you probably have only a smaller size team now currently working on Grand Prix content, which is probably the priority here, and then they're trying to also fix patches and bugs as they go along. And that is probably why we haven't seen some of these big issues get fixed a little bit more quickly. Now obviously some of these patches and stuff have to go through certification, sometimes they can just be hotfixed, but again that can also mean that these updates take a little bit longer to get into the game. So I understand why we maybe haven't seen that much in terms of updates and fixes and patches, but I think just out of everything, we'd like to see some more communication from Beenox about what is coming up, what they know are the problems, what they are trying to fix. Now I could be wrong here, but I don't think we ever got an official confirmation that the save corruption data on PS4 was actually fixed. They said they fixed it, and then obviously it continued to happen, and then they said they were working on it. Did they actually ever say they had officially fixed it? They might have and I've just missed it, but I think we just definitely need more communication. Now, the other day I put up a poll like I usually try and do every week. So this time I asked you guys, are you still playing Crash Team Racing a lot with the recent introductions of microtransactions and the fact that we haven't really seen many updates fixing major problems? So the choices I gave you guys were still play all the time, just a couple times a week, waiting until the next Grand Prix or the next big update to play, and stopped playing for good. Now I got 2,000 votes on this poll. 41% of you say you still play all the time, 37% of you say you just play a couple of times a week, 15% of you say you're waiting for the Spyro GP or the next update, and then 7% of you have said you've stopped playing. So it seems like all of you are still pretty engaged in the game. You're all still playing all the time or just a couple of times a week, with a few of you maybe having stopped playing properly or are just waiting for Spyro. Now I went through some of the comments on that post and picked up a few, mainly the ones that were talking about the updates and how they aren't playing because there haven't been any fixes and changes. So this one comes from Lucky Charms guy. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but he says, I used to play every day but stopped recently when I came to the realization I'm more devoted to this game than Beenox themselves. The unbeatable challenges on Hyperspaceway a week or so ago was the last straw. Again, this is another problem we've been seeing in Nitro-Fueled. Some of the challenges just have not been checked over. For instance, some of the challenges will be like, play 10 races in kart name A, kart name B, kart name C. It doesn't actually tell you what the kart you need to drive in, it just has code in there. Another one that Lucky Charms here is talking about is that there was a challenge to complete Hyperspaceway without ever going on a turbo pad. Now if you've played Hyperspaceway, you know that's pretty much impossible. So I think Beenox just needs to maybe check over challenges and stuff like that. Again, these are my opinions. I'm not hating on Beenox, I'm not hating on the game. I love this game. One of my favorite games originally, and I think they've done an amazing job with Nitro-Fueled. I just don't want to see this game become just a game that isn't updated and is left to rot away. Lucky Charms also then goes on to say, every week or even more often we get glitches in the Grand Prix and UI with challenges not working or staying longer than they should. New glitches keep popping up all over the place. Every time we have a new Grand Prix, it seems like there's a new exploit on a track. For instance, when Back in Time launched, people then found the exploit on Engines Labs. So it seems like every time they fix something or they put out new content, a new exploit arrives. Another comment comes from Angel of Death. I play every day because the core gameplay is just very good, but damn it, online is just so painful to play. I want to enjoy it because that's what I was so excited about when it was announced, but it's hard to sit through the broken things online. And that's just like me. I play online exclusively in this game. I've done pretty much most of the stuff in local arcade and it gets a little bit boring playing against bots, so playing online is more of a challenge, but it is hard to play when you've got so many problems. We then have a comment from Number One. He says, to everyone complaining, this game has been out for 2 months. 2 months. Hold your horses, we need bug fixes, we need changes, of course we do, it will come with time. There's a lot to take into consideration with game design, and despite what some people think or tell you, it's not just a flip of a switch. Now that is true, it does obviously take a lot of time to get some of these updates out like I just had mentioned, and the game has only been out for 2 months, and that is why I'm hoping a lot of changes come with the Spyro and Friends Grand Prix, because if they don't come then it's going to be a little bit hard to believe they'll come at all, because in my personal opinion, I think Spyro and Friends, that Grand Prix, is probably going to be the biggest Grand Prix this game is going to get. You're going to get a lot more people coming back to the game because they're fans of Spyro. A lot of the Crash fans are obviously already Spyro fans. I think if they don't update and fix changes with this next Grand Prix, we could start to see the numbers drop off quite considerably. We then have one from Pib712 II. I've cut back on playing the game so much until the next Grand Prix. Just doing a couple of races most days to get the daily challenges. It's not as much fun anymore with so many bugs still in place. We then have one from Ios. I don't play as much as I used to. Bugs don't seem to be getting fixed, like invisible walls on ramps, no cups or other additions to online, and the GPs are so boring with repetitive and uninteresting challenges. I've lost interest as things don't seem to be getting better. And then from Brian Navarro, this game is pretty amazing. Despite the usual bugs, what this game needs most is a better online matchmaking system. For example, people who are a lot more skilled in the game should be placed against each other and be given maybe 5 or 7 laps depending on the course. Also, the online feature of the game could use a cup mode, at least within private lobbies. And yeah, we do need more modes in online play. Cup modes, I think, should be pretty easy to implement just because they've already got that structure in local arcade. And again, as I previously mentioned, a no items race I think is what also a lot of people want to see. We also have a comment from Auger Effect, playing every day but concerned on the direction it's taking with the lack of support. If 2 months in problems like bugs, glitches, item spam, cooldowns, recovery issue, and no new game modes introduced, more than likely it's not going to have much life expectancy. Wish they listened a bit more to the community and introduced new modes like no item races, team races, and ranked modes, not to mention more legitimate ideas that the community have shared, which would really help the growth of CTR in my opinion. And I agree with everything Auger is saying there. We have a comment here from Narbury, who says, I really loved the game until I ran into so many bugs. It's almost like as if they don't even play the game themselves. Even the shop had bugs with certain purchases, like how does the shop have bugs? This game literally had me scratching my head in realizing that most of us only bought it because of nostalgia, and people run to nostalgia to relive their childhood memory, not for what they've implemented with their own touch and new features. And most of the comments are continuing on this kind of theme. We have a comment from KM who says, used to play every day but the item spam got so much worse, glitches appearing, etc. Love the game but Beenox not dealing with these problems. Now obviously there were a few comments from you guys who are still thoroughly enjoying this game. Again, most of you guys said you are still playing every day, but you are starting to get a little bit frustrated with these glitches, bugs, and a little bit bored of not seeing any changes. And this kind of backs up this whole video. Now again, this is just a small amount of people, 2,000 votes. Again, most of you guys said you're playing every day, but the comments here on this poll at least prove to me that I'm not alone here in these thoughts. And again, this is a discussion, so I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments for this video. Are you still playing all the time? Do you only play a couple of times a week? Are you waiting for the next Grand Prix or the next update? Have you completely stopped playing Nitro-Fueled altogether? And if so, I assume you're probably not watching this video. And what do you currently think of the state of the game at the moment? Do you think Beenox needs to be more vocal, talk to the community more, tell us what the problems are in the game, what they are currently working on? Maybe there are some things they just cannot fix, like maybe the online matchmaking, and if so, tell us that. Do more Activision blogs where you update us, maybe once every 2 weeks. That way you've got one when the Grand Prix launches, and you've got one halfway through a Grand Prix, and that kind of keeps us more informed about what's happening. But again, these are my thoughts on the game in its current state. I know this has probably been quite a long video, but I think it's definitely worth pointing this stuff out and putting it out there so hopefully Beenox and Activision can hear this, hear that most of the community is a little bit frustrated, and hopefully they can fix some of these problems. Now again, I'm hoping most of this stuff gets fixed with the Spyro and Friends Grand Prix. We're going to be seeing that probably in about 2 weeks, maybe next week if we're lucky, but I think 2 weeks time is when we're going to be seeing that Grand Prix go live. So I'm hoping we get a nice long list of all different patch notes and fixes, and if we do or if we don't, then you'll probably be seeing an update video talking about, well, which one we get. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and again, if you want to have a chance to enter the giveaway, link in the description below. If you want to come over to the Discord, talk more about this, talk more about other games. I'm going to be setting up different servers for games in the future when they come out. We've currently got a server on there for Nitro-Fueled discussion. I set up one for Destiny when that comes out. I'll probably set up one for Borderlands 3 and more games as they come out, so you can talk about the games you're currently playing with other people on there, which is a lot of fun. And of course, if you are new around here, feel free to subscribe for more gaming content and coverage. But thanks for hanging out with me, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.